Well, there was an interesting report in the Wrap that kind of laid out something that, to be honest, we already knew, but it was still something kind of worth pointing out. According to this one coming into us from CBR, James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios' fate confirmed after Paramount takeover. Well, I think, as it is often the case with a lot of these outlets that use the word confirmed, I think confirmed is the most misused and wrongly used term ever, because, James Gunn didn't say this, but the basic gist of it is that yet another report, this one coming to us from the Wrap, with their sources now confirming that Paramount's plan, David Ellison's plan, at any rate, is indeed to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran. This is the quote in question that we go to. This is, of course, from the Wrap. It says, Paramount insiders said that the studio plans to keep Abdi, that's Pam Abdi, and Mike DeLuca at Warner. They, of course, run the Warner Brothers Pictures side, in a merged system alongside other top creative execs at the studio like New Line Cinema's Richard Brenner and DC Studios' James Gunn and Peter Safran, who have met with Ellison. Now, that's a key part in there, that they've met with Ellison. And that's why this is not really breaking news, because many of you guys will remember that a while ago, we found out that, now listen, I give David Ellison a lot of crap, deservedly so, because he's a dick. But that being said, I also like to give credit where it's due, and he's done some things quite right. And one of the things that David Ellison did not long ago was he actually got on a plane, flew overseas, and went to visit and meet with James Gunn on the set of Man of Tomorrow. Now, we talked about this a number of months ago, and in that meeting, we found out, basically, David Ellison laid out his pitch for James Gunn and Peter Safran to stay once the merger goes through. And it was at that point that we at least said on our show, and some others did as well, that, it's official. That on top of another statement Paramount put out saying they plan to keep all the key creative leadership at Paramount in place. And that included, of course, James Gunn. There had been some rumblings and whisperings and some theories that if Paramount took over Warner Brothers, that the first thing they were going to do is get rid of James Gunn and Peter Safran. That was obviously not true. And David Ellison even got on a plane, flew over the pond just to give his pitch to James Gunn and Peter Safran. So according now to this report, again, coming to us from the Wrap, they're just doubling down. They say, yes, it's been confirmed to us that this is all the place that David Ellison said. Now, here's the thing that everybody has to keep in mind. It's great and wonderful that David Ellison, rightfully so, wants to keep James Gunn. That's fine. That's cool. But make no mistake about it, I still don't believe that James Gunn is sticking around. I just don't buy that he's sticking around. I don't know whether Peter Safran will or not. But, I had some people write in today, every day, guys, once after I've been working on the show for about an hour or so, and I gather the first round of stories, I put out a post every day on our community tab. And I say, hey guys, putting the last notes together. If you got anything you want me to make sure we cover, mention it here. And I had a bunch of people write in today that said things like this. And I quote, did you hear that James Gunn is sticking around no matter what? Source, Deadline. And I read the Deadline article. That's not what it said. Did you hear that did you hear James Gunn is now saying he's staying? No, he did not. I need this to be clear to everybody. There are two things that are equally true right now. Number one, David Ellison smartly is trying to pitch to keep James Gunn to stay. He's trying to get James Gunn to stay. If the merger goes through. And that's a whole nother can of worms that we'll have to address another time. But if it does go through, he's trying to pitch and convince James Gunn to stay. The second thing is, that's great, but I still believe, and James Gunn has not told me this, I could be wrong, 100% I could be, But I still believe that James Gunn, once he gets the contractual right in the middle of 2027, when his current contract runs out, that's when he gains the contractual right to walk away. And I believe that if the Paramount merger goes through, that James Gunn is going to walk. Now, that might not happen. James Gunn may, as has happened to me before, James Gunn may actually jump on social media and say, no, that's not true. God bless him if that's true. I would love for him to stick around DC. I really would. But I just think, guys, that there are, I made a video about this before. There are greener pastures for James Gunn. I think if the Paramount, number one, I think Kevin Feige would love to have James Gunn back in under the MCU, maybe take back up the position he was going to have under Kevin Feige before he left the first time. I think every other studio would be rolling out the red carpet like they did the last time he was a free agent and basically offer him whatever he wants. So look, again, he may decide to stay. He may decide to leave. But what now has been confirmed is the fact that it is, at least in Paramount's plan, to do their best to try to keep James Gunn. Again, what will happen with Peter Safran, what Peter wants to do, I don't know. Like, Peter may want to hitch his wagon with James, and if James stays, he'll stay. If James goes, he'll go. He may decide to split if James stays. He may decide to stay if James goes. I mean, I don't know what Peter will do. That will be something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. But as far as this goes, yeah, Paramount wants to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran. Whether or not they want to stay is still a question, regardless of what you're hearing from anybody else. Anyway, Chris, this has been a hot issue of debate amongst the fan circles. Well, ever since the proposed merger was even brought up and mentioned. Anyway, what do you think about this new report going on? And ultimately, what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, there's a lot of angles to this. I mean, one, it is crazy how many times, even just in my lifetime, DC has been up for grabs in this sort of conversation with there could be a change in power. There could be a change in it. Like we've gone through this roller coaster ride now about like 3-4 times. And here we are again with this, the possibility of it. When it comes to James Gunn on whether he's going to continue to run, I actually do kind of agree with you, John, on that. I think once his contract comes up, he is probably going to walk away. I feel for different reasons. One, I think at the end of the day, James Gunn is a creative head. He's a director at heart. He's creative. And I think he learned the Kevin Feige job is just not as easy as it sounds. And I mean, I think he sees that. He understands that. And he goes, I'm just a director. I make movies. Overseeing a larger universe and all this maybe bit off a little bit more than I could chew. And I would rather just go off to continue to do the projects I'm more passionate about. I mean, James Gunn has been making comic book movies for almost 10 years or more now, right? And
yeah, with Guardians and
I gotta imagine he maybe has other ambitions. Maybe he's a little done of the capes and tights. Maybe he, goes back to his days of a Slither or something. He has other ideas. Now, you also mentioned he'd go back to Marvel. I actually don't think he would ever go back either. I think he's, in my mind, I think he's still hurt over what happened, even though I know that's not Kevin Feige who did that to him. I think in the end, he probably has a plan laid out. He's talked about it before in interviews. He's like, oh, we have a 10-year plan, or we have this plan. I think he's going to leave Warner Brothers with that plan and say, this is my blessing for you to continue on. This is what I would have done, but I kind of want to go off. And I think Peter Safran is someone who will stay with Warner Brothers and do, because he's the businessman. I think Peter, he respects James Gunn. He probably realizes creatively he probably wants to move on, but I think Peter he's a businessman. He still wants to handle the business side of things. And maybe that's just how the split will go. It's like, I'll make sure Gunn's vision gets sawed through. So in my mind, that's how I see it. But I mean, if he decided to stay and continue, he has not done enough wrong in the DCU for me to be like, yeah, we need James out of there. I'm still on board and very excited for his Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. As far as I'm concerned, especially with how good Lanterns is right now, to me, it's he's had 4 at bats and there's only been 1 strikeout. It was a big strikeout, Supergirl, but it's only been 1 out so far. He's hit a couple of home runs and a couple of doubles, so I'm good with it. I used to think like you did, Chris, that maybe going back to Marvel might be a sore spot for him, but he did go back to do Guardians 3.
Yeah,
and not only that, but it was never a Kevin Feige issue. I mean, obviously he's still very tight with Kevin Feige. James Gunn has said, like in interviews, he said the very first phone call he made once he accepted the job was to Kevin Feige and to tell Kevin. The two are very, very tight. And on top of that, anybody who was involved in him leaving isn't there anymore, right? Bob Iger,
Maybe.
who may or may not have anything to do with him leaving in the first place, but Bob Iger's not there. Ellen Shore's no longer there. It's Alan Bergman now and Josh D'Amaro, and it's a whole new crew of people. But even when it was the same people, he did go back to make another movie with them, even though he already accepted a new job at DC. So
Yeah.
Again, that's not me making a case that he is going to go back to Marvel. I just think it's on the table. You know what I mean?
Well,
but
even if he goes back to Marvel, it's not a leadership role. It would be as a director. So that means he literally, there's no, like, in my mind, there's no going back to Marvel, and that's where you have to stay and you can't do anything else. So like, if he went back to Marvel, it would be for like 1 or 2 movies. In the meantime, he could go do a movie for WB still, WB proper, even if it's merged, or Universal. And then, I mean, we talked about it before. There's also an idea where if the merger goes through, but they have to divest DC, I could see something like NBC Universal buying DC Studios, and
NBC
Gunn
Universal would be a prime candidate.
and going to Universal, and literally Gunn just drives out of the driveway, goes around Smokehouse and pulls into Universal.
Smokehouse is one of our favorite restaurants, by the way.
And it's sandwiched right between the two studios.
Here's the thing. I don't think he would be going back to Marvel just to direct a couple of pictures. Remember, right before everything exploded and he left, Kevin Feige had just appointed him as kind of like the guy who was going to head up the galactic side of the MCU. He was going to kind of oversee all that. But I think it's bigger than that. I think if James Gunn goes back to DC, it's all about succession. I think if James Gunn goes back to DC, I've said for a couple of years now, I think Kevin Feige is not necessarily going to happen this year or next year, but I think Kevin Feige has done everything he can possibly accomplish at Marvel. I think he has his end game mapped out. And then I think Kevin Feige is going to be looking for a bigger mountain to climb and to conquer at some point. And if you're going to do that, you've got to have a succession plan. And there's nobody I think Kevin Feige would trust more with Marvel than James Gunn. And so I think if he were to go there, it would be going there with Kevin pitching him the idea of succession.
Yeah. But I think part of that conversation, and I think you'd agree with this, is he would say, look, but this means you're leading the production. You're not directing 5 films and producing all of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, I mean, it would, that's something James has to learn. But anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Yet now the Wrap is again confirming that, yes, Paramount wants to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran, which is just really what we've already known from before when David Ellison made the very shrewd move to fly overseas just to meet with James Gunn. The question is going to be whether James Gunn wants to stay, and I am still skeptical about that. But who knows what's going through James Gunn's head right now. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Quince. August is a great time to reset a few things before fall gets crazy, and one of the easiest places to start is your closet. That's where Quince comes in. Quince is all about fewer, better pieces made with premium materials that are designed to actually last. We're talking ultra soft organic cotton tees, Mongolian cashmere sweaters, premium denim, and tailored chinos starting at just $60. And here's what really stands out. Quince prices everything 50 to 80% less than similar brands by working directly with ethical factories and cutting out the middlemen. So you end up paying for the quality, not some giant markup. I've already ordered a number of things from their store. As a matter of fact, I love this shirt. It looks great, and most importantly, it's crazy comfortable. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers, or go to quince.com/Campea. Get free shippings on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/Campea.